Well, tonight, 52 police officers are admitted for treatment at various institutions across the country because of mental illness. Well, such statistics from a career that requires long working hours in traumatic settings without adequate psychological support in place. Citizen TV's Brian Mutai tells a story through the eyes of a police officer who has seen the depths of mental health illness and survived to share his story.
Hatuwezi kuwa tunateseka. Wengine wanaenda kabla waue ama they commit suicide.
The other issue that I think has come out is the need for us to once again refocus on mental health care.
The police are human beings. And these conditions we are talking about, depression, suicide and so on, affect human beings.
There is overwhelming evidence that mental health is now a national concern. Many Kenyans are locked in a grim struggle with mental illness, and members of the police service are no exception. Police officers encounter unique challenges in the course of their day-to-day duties at the first at the scene of crime, which can be quite traumatic. In the long run, they battle stress, fatigue, long working hours and sometimes lack of appreciation by the people they serve. Under such conditions, it is easy to fall apart. And just last month, the bodyguard of Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i killed his girlfriend and then took his own life, with a cause described as stress.
Kazi yetu ni ngumu, tutembea tunakutana na wakora na baridi. Hii kazi tena inakuwa ngumu wakati tunaenda kutoa mtu kwenye median kwa mti, mwingine amepigwa risasi, amevunjwa accident. Napata wengine wamekatika, wamekaa vibaya. Sisi askari tu, sisi ndio tutatoa huyo mtu, tufunge, tuweke kwa gari na tupeleke mocha. Hiyo mambo wakati unaenda kulala inakuwa affect so much, traumatizing.
We link up with two police officers on duty in Kibra slums. One of them has just recovered from an episode of a mental health illness, and he has taken the unprecedented step of going public about it.
Tunakuja mpaka wapi? Mahali huu? Niko. I'm a recovering addict. Waisikia hiyo? Nilikuwa stage number 4.
From drug addiction to an acute mental disorder, Sergeant Moses Kimenchu has experienced it all.
Mimi ni addiction counselor.
He attributes his tribulations to influence from a senior officer.
I used to take alcohol and cigarette. I was taught by a boss who employed me as a houseboy. So when he was sending me to buy a cigarette, he was using a cock, the one which is under a stick. So once when I go to buy a cigarette, I buy 2 for me.
Moses recalls seeking medical support secretly for fear of victimization. He only confided in his brother and a corporal officer who urged him to seek medical intervention.
Once when I heard that this is a mental issue, I was amazed. But the doctor told me, this is a disease, brother, don't be worried. This is a disease which needs diagnosis.
By the time Moses was diagnosed, he was already in stage 4, which is usually, in mental health terms, the terminal stage. But through a combination of medical intake and therapy, Moses is fortunate to have recovered. And he is now preaching the gospel of good mental health to all.
Msaada inaweza tu kuwa karibu. Jirani yako pengine kuna mtu ambaye una trust. Na kuna kitu inakusumbua. Kama wewe ni kijana huwezi kushare na mama. So share na dad. Na kama dad haiko karibu, si kuna friend.
Eunice, a counseling psychologist, explains why police officers should not be left in conversations about mental health.
Tukipatikana na mwili, officers atakuwa called. And when I'm called, the trauma that we experience, I'm exposed to that.
The culture of policing makes it hard for them to disclose their mental illness. And in a society with a stereotypical view of such a problem, they may suffer in silence.
Sisi sio wanyama, sisi ni watu. People have changed through me, and today they are calling me Dr. Car Sober because I've made it. People can recover, can be sober like me. You look now, I'm a sergeant. If I'm not sober, I could not come here.
The challenges that I've gone through as an individual officer, as a female police officer, they are helping me, in fact, to grow up. So in terms of mental health, I'm not crushed. In fact, I have been able to bounce back. Whenever I go through issues, I'm able to rise above that. But I know from an individual perspective that there is that room for one to bounce back.
Indeed, they are now champions of mental health and wellness serving within the newly formed Police Directorate of Mental Health, headed by Dr. Makoha.
Akili zetu isipochungwa, isipopewa afya ya kutosha, huo uchungu tutaupeleka katika umma. Nakumbuka sisi tuko na silaha. Silaha moja inastahili kulinda wananchi wengi sana, kama 450 hivi. Na kama hiyo silaha, akili ya askari mmoja ikiwa mbaya, ikiwageuka hao wananchi 450, itaharibu kabisa wananchi. We have admitted around 52 officers in rehabilitation centers, one of the centers being the Chiromolen Hospital, and they are now recovering very well. We have them, and we cannot run away from it because we are human beings.
Stigma is among the usual obstacles that make people not to openly discuss stress or their state of mind.
We will listen to you, we will help you, we will work together to ensure that we build you up instead of victimizing you. But from the public point of view, what we see in the public is basically when they see something small, the first thing is like they burst into flames. They say, wow, the policemen are killing one another. They are killing us. You know, the first problem is we have never seen the public coming out clearly to say, we want to help the police. That is what we want to hear. Because what we hear is they victimize, they blame. And they are part of what we are.
Research shows that more law enforcement officers take their own lives and are killed in the line of duty, as US-based research also found that police officers are at high risk of committing suicide than any other profession. Estimates point that 20 to 25% of outpatients seeking primary health care present symptoms of mental illness at any one time, while government statistics indicate that at least 1 in every 4 Kenyans suffer from a mental illness at one point in their lives.
Well, we have increased cases of homicide, we have had increased cases of alcohol use disorders, we have had increased cases of depression, we have had increased cases of parasuicide, attempted suicide, or death by suicide. And the burden of mental health care against the background of COVID-19 is rising, while access is not commensurate.
This is Mathare Hospital. It is home to some of Kenya's most chronic psychiatric cases. Looking at the pictures, Mathare Hospital as is may not be fit to run as a referral hospital. According to Dr. Frank Njenga, there's need to make huge changes to accommodate a proper mental health unit in the country.
The Mental Health Task Force described it as a monument of national shame. Government has moved swiftly and determined that the hospital will be moved from there, it will fall down.
President Kenyatta ordered the formation of a task force with a primary mandate to study the status of mental health in the country and recommend solutions to reform mental health systems. Among them is to handle suicide cases and murder cases with close medical attention, since most of them are mental cases. Mental health is fundamental to our collective ability as human beings to interact, earn a living and enjoy life. But according to the Task Force on Mental Health in Kenya, mental health has not been given enough priority. This is Mathare Hospital right behind me, which they say is not fit to host, leave alone to treat mental health cases. But the question that begs is, when and how will this be sorted? Brian Mutai for Citizen TV in Mathare, Nairobi County.